Shalom Israel, brother Endure. About to come here with you with a quick lesson, um, for the day. Um, First of all, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, the Father, and I want to do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world even called Jesus Christ. So today I want to do a quick video entitled "Will You Get Caught Being Naked?" Right? And are you naked? Right? So first I want to go through some simple precepts. I'm going to start off with Psalms. Let's just get right to it. The book of Psalms, chapter 111. The book of Psalms, chapter 111, verse 10, and it reads, "The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do His commandments. His praise endureth forever." Right? I'm going to read it again. The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do His commandments. Right? So that's simple as it gets. And always through the breakdowns, I go through these scriptures right here before I get into the lesson. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 28, and verse 9. And it reads, "Whom shall He teach knowledge, and whom shall He make understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line. Here a little and there a little," right? So through the Spirit of the Most High, we want to go through the precepts, right, to get the understanding on what it is to be naked, right? Because a lot of people think that, in the beginning, when Adam and Eve, when they got caught being naked, they think that they were actually physically naked, right? So through the Spirit, I'm going to bring out the precept to show you that that's not what it's talking about, right? So let's just get right to it. This is the book of Genesis, right? And also this is, a lesson on the understanding of Adam and Eve, right? After they disobeyed, right? Were they actually naked, right? So let's get the understanding on these things, right? This is the book of Genesis, chapter 3, and verse 7, and it reads, I'll start at verse 6. "And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired, to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat." Right? So this is after the devil or the serpent beguiled Eve, right? And tricked her into eating. You understand? And, she convinced her husband to do the same thing. Verse 7, and it reads, "And the eyes of them were both open, and they knew that they were naked." Right, so what is that talking about? It says the eyes of them were both open, and they were naked. So let's get some understanding. So let's go back. Let's go back to chapter 2. Let's go to Genesis chapter 2, and let's start at verse 7, right? And it reads, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostril." Salakia, verse 7 again. "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul." Right, so what does that mean? We're going to go through the precepts to show you what this means, because a lot of people, right, or in the Christian church, we were taught, that the Lord breathed into Adam's nostril, right, like physically breathed into his nostril, you understand, and gave him life, and he became a living soul, or he became a being. But that's not what it's talking about, right? So we're going to go through the precept to show you exactly what it means to become a living soul, right? and what breathing through the nostril means, right? This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37 and verse 10. The book of Ezekiel, 37 and 10. And it reads, "So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came unto them, and they lived and stood up upon their feet, an exceedingly great army." Right? So what the Most High did was he used the spirit of prophecy to breathe upon these men, right? And what came upon them was knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, right? I'm going to read on. "Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dry, and our hope is lost, and we are cut off from our parts." Right? So that's one precept to show you, right, what that means. Another precept would be Job 27 and verse 3, right? It's the book of Job, chapter 27 and verse 3. Let's read it. "All the while my breath is in me, and the spirit of the Most High is in my nostril." Right? I'll read it again. "All the while my breath is in me, and the spirit of the Most High is in my nostrils." You understand? So it's not talking about the Most High physically, literally came down and breathed on him, right? And he became a living soul. What it's talking about is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Understand? Like these, during this time, the Most High gave them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to do certain things. You understand? To have the ability to know what was right and what was wrong. You understand? That's what it's talking about. Let me get one more. This is the Wisdom of Solomon, right? Wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha, chapter 7 and verse 24. Wisdom of Solomon, and I have a few notes written down with me. This is the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 24, and it reads, "For wisdom is more moving than any motion. She passeth and goeth through all things by reason of her pureness." Right? Verse 25. "For she is the breath of the power of the Most High, and a pure influence flowing from the glory of the Almighty. Therefore can no defiled thing fall into her." Right. So this is clear as day. What it's telling you is that the breath of the nostril is breathing. The breath of the nostril is wisdom, right? Knowledge and understanding. You understand? So that's what it's talking about. So from Genesis chapter 2, you understand, the Most High gave his chosen, he gave them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding already. You understand? So by the time you get to Adam and Eve in chapter 3, you understand, when their eyes were open, let's see what their eyes were open to, right? Let's see what they were naked of. You understand? Because they're not physically naked, right? This is two grown people, right? This actually happened. This is two grown people. You understand? They had knowledge of putting on clothes, taking off clothes, right? So let's see what the book of Genesis is teaching us, right? From the first book, let's see what the book of Genesis is teaching us. I'll read it again. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 3 and verse 7. "And the eyes of them were both open, and they knew that they were naked," right? So before I want to get that, I want to say that the Most High, he speaks in code. He speaks in similitudes, right? As it says in the book of Hosea. Let's get to Hosea chapter 12. This is the book of Hosea, chapter 12. He's speaking similitudes, right? 12 and verse 10. And it reads, "I have also spoken by the prophets and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. Right, so the Most High, he speaks in similitudes, right, to his prophets, right, which is, our book. Understand? He speaks in similitudes. So when it says that they were naked, we have to get the precepts to have the understanding on what it's talking about, right? So we back at Genesis chapter 3 and verse 7, and it reads, and the eyes of them were both, and the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked, right? So let's find out exactly what it's talking about. Let's go to the book of John, chapter 9, verse 41. It's the book of John, chapter 9, and verse 41. And it reads, Yahushai, or Jesus, said unto them, if ye were blind, ye should have no sin, right? But now you say, we see, therefore your sin remaineth, right? So let's read it again one more time and let's break it down, right? Let's read it. Yahushua said unto them, if you were blind, you should have no sin. But now ye say, we see, therefore your sin remaineth, right? So what this is saying is, you knew the wickedness that you was in, right? If you were blind, right? You knew before you had the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, right? But you can see now. So you knew that you were naked. You knew that you was in sin, right? You knew that you was in iniquity, right? That's what it's talking about. So let's go back. Let's go back and let's read it again and let's get another precept, right? Because precept must be upon precept. This is Genesis 3 and 7. And the eyes of them were both open, and they knew that they were naked, right? Next precept is the book of Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 13, right? Let's stay on this nakedness, right? Let's see what it means to be naked. It's the book of Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 13, and it reads, neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his sight, but all things are naked and open unto the eyes of him with whom we have to do. Right? I'll read it again. Hebrews 4 and 13. Neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his sight, but all things are naked and open unto the eyes of him with whom we have to do. Right? So the Most High sees everything, man. Right? Your nakedness, your sin, the Most High sees it. Right? That's why in the book of Ecclesiastes it says that the Most High, the book of Sirach, it said the Most High eyes is like 10,000 times brighter than the sun. Right? Sirach 23, let's get it. It's the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 23 and verse 19, and it reads, such as man only feareth the eyes of men, and knoweth not that the eyes of Yahweh are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men and considering the most secret parts. So the Most High sees everything, man. Right? So when Adam and Eve, you understand, when they were in nakedness, the Most High saw that. You understand? That's what it's talking about. Next precept. Let's go back to Genesis. Let's break it all the way down. Genesis chapter 3, and verse 7. And it reads, and the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked. Right? And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons, right? So is that actually talking about they sewed fig leaves on top of their naked body? No, it's talking about they committed sin on top of sin, Understand? And we're gonna break that down through the precepts. But before that, I have another precept. This is Job 26. Job chapter 26 and verse 6. Job 26, bear with me, and verse 6, and it reads, Hell is naked before him, and destruction has no covering. Right? Hell is naked before him, and destruction has no covering. Right? That's simple as it gets. Right? That leads on to the understanding of why they sold themselves with fig leaves. Right? And they covered themselves with aprons. What is it talking about? They covered themselves with more sin, with more philosophies, with more false doctrines. You understand? The followings of other nations of people. That's what it's talking about. They try to cover their sins with more sins. Right? That's why the Lord said that his eyes are 10 times brighter than the sun. He sees all things. You understand? That's what it's talking about. And let's get a precept for that. This is Revelations 3 and 18. The book of Revelations, chapter 3, verse 18. And it reads, and it reads, Revelations 3 and 18, I console thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear, and anoint thine eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see. Right? So let's get the point again. Let's start from the top. I console thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear. You understand? So that's what they were doing with the fig leaves. They tried to cover themselves, right? They tried to have a covering. They tried to hide their sins with the fig leaves, right? With the aprons. You understand? But the Most High already knew what they was doing. You understand? That's why he said, Adam, where are you going? What have you done? Because he already knew. Right? Another precept. Isaiah chapter 30. To show you that they tried to cover themselves. This is Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 1. And it reads, Woe to the rebellious children, saith Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. Right? That's what they was doing. They was adding sin to sin. They were making excuses, right? Because they knew that they were naked. They knew their eyes were open, right? Their eyes were open to the sin that they have committed, because they knew that they were wrong. Understand? The Most High had already gave them instructions on what to do, right? And what not to do. So that they knew that they were wrong. That's why they kept doing it. Understand? That's what the book of Genesis is teaching you from the foundation thereof. If you had ears to hear. Another precept would be Isaiah 47. Isaiah chapter 47 and 3. This is just going to be a quick lesson, right? Flowing through the precepts. Isaiah chapter 47 and verse 3. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yeah, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. Right? Your nakedness, your sin cannot be covered. Understand? Because the Most High sees everything. That's why the Lord said that in the book of Sirach. Let's read that again. Because it's a beautiful precept, right? Sirach chapter 23 and verse 19, and it reads, Such a man only feareth the eyes of men, and knowing not that the eyes of Yahweh are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men and considering the most secret parts. So the Lord sees everything, man. Right? The Lord even knows your secret thoughts. Right? That's what He's telling you. So Adam and Eve, you understand, they were naked, they were in sin, and they tried to cover their sin by adding on sins, right? By going into many other different philosophies, right? Through different hills, right? Through different Salaki, what's the word I want to use? Different through different doctrines. You understand? That's what they were doing. Different philosophies, right? So next precept would be, let's read it again. This is the book of Genesis chapter 7. Genesis chapter 3 and verse 7. And the eyes of them were open, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons, right? They made themselves have more sin. They were adding on these sins. That's why the Lord said this in the book of Revelations. That's why the Lord said this, Revelation 16 and verse 15, and it reads, Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked. Right? Lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. Right? So what is it talking about? The Lord is going to come like a thief in the night. You understand? And if you get caught naked, right? Meaning you caught up in sin, right? It's going to be bad for you. And you're going to have to deal with it. You understand? And the end of that verse says, lest he walk naked. Salaki. I'll just read it from the top. Revelations chapter 16 and verse 15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garment. Right? You're supposed to keep your garment. You're supposed to keep your garment white. You understand? Spiritually. You understand? It's not talking about who got, the best outfit, the best fringes, who got the best hair wrap, who got the best beard, right, oiled up, the sisters who got their hair wrapped up all night. It's not what it's talking about. It's talking about who's been making supplications up to the Most High, right? Who's been praying and repenting, right? Who has ceased from sin, right? That's what it's talking about. Whose garment is going to be white. That's how the Lord said this in Ecclesiastes. That's how the Lord said this in Ecclesiastes 9 and 8. And it reads, Ecclesiastes chapter 9 verse 8. Let thy garment be always white. Right? So your garment is supposed to always be white. And let thy head lack no ointment. Right? You shouldn't be lacking iron. You shouldn't be lacking with your praying. You shouldn't be lacking with your fasting. You shouldn't be lacking with your reading. Right? You shouldn't be lacking. It says, let thy garment always be white. Meaning, stop sinning. Right? That's what it means. Right? Meaning stop having commit fornication. Right? Physically and in your mind. Right? Brother, stop eating pork. Right? Brother, stop shaving your beard. Right? Throwing your fringes, brother. Right? That's what it's talking about. Let your garment always be white. Right? And your garment has to be white. Why? Because we're married to the Most High. Right? We're married to the Most High, and you want to be bidded into that marriage. That's why the brothers go out on the corners and teach, because we're supposed to bid the children of Yasharallah back to the marriage. So the Lord said this in the book of Matthew 22. It's the book of Matthew chapter 22 and verse 9. And it reads, Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid them to the marriage. Right? So it's a commandment for you brothers to go to the highways and the hedges and lift up your voice like a trumpet and show your people their transgressions. You understand? Isaiah the 58th chapter. Right? And you're supposed to bid your people to the marriage because we're married to the Most High, right? And you can find that in the book of Jeremiah, Jeremiah chapter 3, and verse, Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 14, and it reads, "Turn, O backsliding children, saith Yahweh, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion." Right? So this is talking about the kingdom of heaven, man. We're married to the Most High. Understand? And we need to stop cheating on the Most High through sin, through following other philosophies, through following other women, doctrine. You understand? Come out of Christianity, man, because you're not keeping no laws, statutes, and commandments. Faith without works is dead. These laws are the works. You understand? So in order to make it to the kingdom, which is Zion, right, your garment has to be white, right? That's why we go out to the highways and bid them to the marriage. Understand? So that's why the Lord also said this in the book of Sirach, right? Ecclesiastes chapter 31 and verse, Ecclesiastes 31 and verse 8, and it reads, "Blessed is the rich that is found without blemish." Blessed is the rich that is found without blemish, right? Who's the rich? We are the rich. Understand? That's why the Lord said this in the book of Revelations, right? The book of Revelations, chapter 2 and verse 9. "I know thy works and thy tribulations and poverty, but thou art rich." Right? We're rich. The Israelites, right? The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and our brothers and sisters that are scattered abroad, we're rich. You understand? We're rich through spirit. We're rich through the covenant that we have, right? That our fathers have with the Most High. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's how we're rich. You understand? Because that's our heritage, right? That's how we're rich. That's why the Lord said this. Sirach 31 and 8, and it reads, "Blessed is the rich that is found without blemish, and hath not gone after gold." Right? What's the gold? These philosophies, these doctrines, right? Money. That's the gold. You have not gone after these worldly things. That's why the Lord said, "Be not in this world." You understand? That's why the Lord said that. That's the gold that it's talking about, right? The Lord also said this in 2 Peter. It's the book of 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 14, and it reads, 3 and 14 reads, "Wherefore, beloved, seeing that ye look for such things, be diligent that ye may be found of him in peace, without spot, and blameless." You understand? So your garment is supposed to be white, right? And your head like no ointment. It's supposed to be spotless, without blemish, right? Without sin. You understand? So you can't cover your sin upon sin. Don't get caught. Don't get caught naked. You understand? Living in these last days is imperative that you don't get caught naked, right? Because the Most High is coming like a thief in the night, as it is written, right? So one last precept in the book of Revelations, Revelation chapter 3, verse 4, and it reads, chapter 3 and verse 4, and it reads, "Thou hast a few names, even in Sardis, which have not defiled their garments, and they shall walk with me in white, for they are worthy." Right? Who is this talking about? This is talking about the Israelites who endured to the end. Right? That's why the scripture said, "Blessed they that endure to the end shall be saved." Right? How do you endure to the end? By holding on to these laws, statutes, and commandments. Right? That's what you want. You want to hold on to the end. Right? And the Lord even said that. He said, "Hold fast till I come." Right? Matter of fact, let's get it. This is the book of Revelation chapter 2 and verse 25. "But that which ye have already, hold fast till I come." Right? What do you have already? You have these laws, statutes, and commandments. You have this grace period, right, to get yourself together to stop sinning. That's what you have. But that which you have already hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh, he that endureth to the end, and keepeth my works, these laws, statutes, and commandments, unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Right? Brother, endure. Right? Fisherman for Zion. Shalom.